Good night. How everyone doing tonight? My name is Irma Che, a spiritual divine. I'm here to give you a word on tonight. And it's gonna be famine in the land. I know it might be something to nobody don't want to hear, but it's something that you have to may have to deal with it. Well, all that's going on in the world right now. We're wearing masks and everything. But this story gonna come from Jeremiah. On chapter 10, it's gonna be verse 1 through 22. Now the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah concerning the drought. Israel stopped listening to false prophets. Now that's one thing God don't want us to do. He don't want us to listen to false prophets. He wants us to keep our eyes on Him, and no matter, including myself, no matter what you're going through, you have to keep your eyes on the Lord. Now they sent a servant for water. I guess they ain't believing when God said He's gonna send a famine in their land. So they sent a servant to go to this central to get water, and he came back empty-handed. They have no water. The ground was cracking because there was no water. Now there is no water and there is no rain. Because see, when God said what He gonna do, He gonna do it. Now you know the Israelite His favorite, but every time you look around, they always getting into something. The Israelite bloodline coming from Abraham. So he loved the Abraham, so he took a light in the Israelite, because that's on Abraham bloodline. Okay, so the Israelite, they feel the drought. Now they feeling the drought now. They ain't got no grass for them to be planting nothing. They ain't got no water. They don't have anything. So now they're trying to look up to God now. They had took over the land. The drought had took over the land. They realized that God often uses such dryness as a judgment. So now they realize how God operates. So they said, they said we forgot how God used judgment as dryness. So everything is just dry. It's so dry that it's cracking up the ground. So Jeremiah 13 verse 25, the Lord, because you have forgotten me and trust in false God, the Lord will consume them by the sword, and by the famine, and by the potassium. So God, see, you can't hide nothing from him. So God knew that they was listening to false prophets. So God said, you're going to listen to a false prophet. I'm going to turn this whole land into famine. You won't have no water. You won't have grass. You won't have anything. So now the Israelites sin against God again. It's about listening to a false prophet. Now God said for no one to pray. Now see, God told everybody else, do not pray for them. Because see, they coming to God now. So God told everybody, don't pray for them. So Jeremiah 14:11, God said they will fast, they will pray, but He will not listen. He will not listen. They can cry, and He will not accept them. Now see, this is God. They got angry because they turned into a false God. Now He said they can fast, they can pray, they can cry. He said He will not accept them. He said instead, I will destroy them with the swords of famine in the flesh. Now God still said He gonna destroy them. Remember, Israelite His favorite people, and He said He would destroy them because of false prophet. So now we're gonna talk about this false prophet. From 13, verse 13 and 15. Okay, but I say, the servant of the Lord, the prophet, they keep telling them, you will not see the sword of suffering and famine. Indeed, I will give you lasting peace in this place. Now, this false prophet gonna come behind God and tell the Israelite that you will not see no famine in this land. And matter of fact, you're gonna have peace. Now, see, God said they will have famine in the land, and they will not have peace. Now this false prophet come and tell him, no, you will have peace. You will not have no famine in this land. So I don't know who he thought he was. But then 14 said, then the Lord said to me, the prophet are prophesizing lies. So he trying to let the Israelite know that he prophesizing lies to y'all in his name. Now I have not sent them to appoint them or spoke to them. Now God said because you see, God is the one that speaks to the prophets. He speaks to the prophet and tell him to give he speaks to the prophet to have signs to give to his people who need to hear that word. Now God said he did not send them. He said he did not send them. They're prophesizing lies. Now I have not sent them or appointed them to spoken to them. They are prophesying to you false vision. Now he giving them false vision, divination, adultery, and dissolution of their own mind. Now God is saying that they is having dissolution in their mind. And they're taking that vision and preaching to the Israelite. And I guess it was sounding so good to the Israelite was believing him, and they started listening to him on a regular basis. So that's when God had to step in. So therefore, this is what the Lord said about the prophet, who are prophesying in my name. I did not send them, but yet they are saying, no sword, no famine will touch this land. Those who same prophet will perish by the sword of the famine. And the people they are prophesying to will be thrown out into the street. Now God said, who is prophesying those lies? He's going to throw them out in the street of Jerusalem because of the famine and the sword. Now when the famine come in the land, God said he's going to throw them out in the street. Throw them out in the street. There will be no one to bury them, or their wives, their sons, or their daughters. He said, I will pour out on them the castigation that they deserve. Now, they had delusion in their mind, and they took that as a vision to preach to the Israelites. So God said, see, God know who all his prophets that he talked to. So God said, I did not talk to them. They prophesizing lies. They're taking their delusion out of their mind and made a vision and they ran with it. And the Israelites just started liking the way he they got some prophet can preach and sound so good. And so he probably was sounding so good to the Israelites, so they wanted to constantly hear him every day. And so God had to tell them, no, y'all is prophesying with false prophets. So Israelite want to pray and everything to God now. So 14:20. Chapter 14 and verse 20. Okay, we're gonna start with 19 first. So Israelites said, why have you afflict us, so that we cannot be healed? We hope for peace, but no good has come. For a time of healing, but there is only terror. Now 20. Oh Lord, we acknowledge our wickedness. So now they want to tell the Lord they acknowledge their wickedness. So I mean they know they was doing something wrong. They know they weren't supposed to listen to the false prophet. In the guilt of our faults, we have indeed sinned against you. For the sake of your name, do not despise us. Do not dishonor your glory or throne. Remember your covenant with us and do not break it. Do end of the works out of the nation and bring rain. Do not sky themselves and down to shower. No, it is you, O Lord, our God. Therefore, our hope is in you, for you are the one who does all this. Okay, so now they know the power that God has. They should have been knowing what their forefathers had went through back in the day with Moses. But now they acknowledge God, and they say they told God, you is the one that done all this. With the dry land, they ain't got no food, they don't have nothing, but God told them he was gonna put that on their land. So now they're reaching out to God And 20 they said we acknowledge our wickedness. So that means once they was listening to the prophet, they already knew what they was doing. So chapter 14 verse 22. Do any of the worthless idols of the nation bring rain? Or do the skies themselves and send down showers? Now they asking God to send showers down to them. Shower down to them. So now we see that God knew they would listen to false prophets. God said he would bring famine on them because of their sin. So the false prophet said, now God said he was going to bring famine on their land. So then a false prophet going to come behind God and say, and tell them, oh, there ain't no famine coming on your land. And matter of fact, you're going to have peace. Now, how are you going to go over God's head and tell the Israelites what they not going to have? And that they're going to have peace when God said what he was going to do to them. So no famine. He said they're going to have no famine in the land. They're going to have peace. But he have no power over God. He have no power. What God said what he going to do, that's just what he going to do. Now, when God said what will happen, it will happen. Now, God wants us to fear him and keep our eyes on him. And I'm talking and preaching to myself too, because I'm in that. I'm still in that battle too. So I'm preaching to y'all, and I'm taking in everything, but along as I'm trying to teach to y'all. So God said, what will happen? What happened? God wants us to fear him and keep our eyes on him. It's just like me. I'm in the middle of a breaking point. So I had to constantly, that's why I grab this Bible when I'm in that mode. When I'm in that sad mode, I grab that Bible. That's why I always tell y'all, grab that Bible. It will comfort you and have you humble yourself and think. Because see, I think about all the goodness that God has done for me. And that will keep me, that keep me focused and not focused on going on the outside or listening in nobody else's ear. Because when you think about the goodness that God has done in your life, any doubt or anything that come in your mind, you're gonna have to exit on out. Because you might get doubt, but then you're not gonna throw in the towel and give up, because you're gonna think about the goodness that God is doing in your life, and you're gonna hold on so tightly and never give up. And the main key is never give up. Never give up. It's the main key. And the second main key is don't take ears to somebody else. You see what God did to them when they would listen to false prophets. He don't want you to listen to false prophets. That's why I had to calm myself in the mix of my trials that I'm going through. I preach to y'all, and I also have to practice what I preach. So I'm doing what I said to y'all. The main key that I don't never give up. Even if it pop up in my mind, it got to exit on out. Because I grabbed that Bible. And that's why I tell y'all that Bible is powerful. It's powerful. So when anybody else try to come at you about, girl, it's taking too long, go another route. You already know. Grab that Bible and let you know what God said. God said. Because you can always pray to God and he will give you the right answer. And that's what that's what they were supposed to do at that moment. They ain't had the right answer and didn't know what direction to take. They should have took that moment, get on the side and start praying to God, and he would have given them direction. Because see, in the mix of my trial, before I can be at the merge or trying to act a fool or whatever, I calm myself down. Even on the job, I'll go grab that Bible. I said the devil ain't gonna allow me to mess up when I'm this close at the borderline. So you got to find ways to defeat the devil. And see, I didn't defeat the devil so many times. So I had to stay focused and I had to keep my eye on God, because he the only one is getting me through this here. He the only one that's guiding me through. Nobody else can guide you through. Money can't guide you through. Nobody in your mama can't guide you through. Nobody cannot save you but God. And then when you think about all the trials that you went through and how you defeated and who helped you defeat, see, God gonna get the glory out of my life. But I have to keep my eye. Sometimes I get upset. Sometimes I get frustrated. But then I pull myself together and I realize all the goodness that is happening in my life. And then another thing, that I'm still alive to be a testimony of my own story. So I just want to say, no matter what you're going through in your life, and sometimes God might get angry. He might ignore you. Because just like he had told them, nobody don't pray for him. They fast and everything, and he did not listen. God did not listen. He did not hear him, and none of that. Sometimes he may do that. But just don't stop praying. Don't keep on doing wrong because God ignoring you. They're just gonna make the situation worse. So never listen to false prophets, because sometimes they can preach and make everything sound so good. But God can make everything not only sound good, but be right and look good at the same time. So don't ever listen to false prophets and you get confused, or they might sound good or whatever. Always pause and take time out and pray and talk to God. So I hope y'all enjoyed this word, and I hope y'all have a blessed and safe night. In the name of Jesus. Thank you, and I see you in the next video.